this weekend with abortion under attack once again. So last week, a district judge in Texas suspended the FDA's approval of mifepristone, which is a drug used to provide more than half of the U.S. abortions. The FDA first approved the drug actually in the year 2000. So despite the controversy surrounding the drug, patient death rates for mifepristone are actually lower than Tylenol, penicillin, and Viagra.
Like
So
they're still been trying to take control of women's bodies. And in this situation, that like if it wasn't clear, as you said, the FDA approved this a long time ago. It is safe. They're just trying to take more control. But if they do go to the Supreme Court, which definitely sounds about right because it doesn't make sense. It's been approved already. So it doesn't even make sense for it to be up in the air like this again. But if they do take it to the Supreme Court, it's probably going to be banned just based off of what we already know
mm,
now.
Unless I don't necessarily understand the overarching agenda with like majority southern states actively taking like from the time constraints to the medications available to like selling plan B or even selling condoms. Like people are taking severe extreme acts like overtly fighting women's rights pertaining to abortions and
I think
pregnancies.
there
So
needs to
like
be like a broader conversation about like the Supreme Court and like the court system where like I think too often we act like the court system is like this like super equal fair thing when it's like it's as politicized as anything else now. And
you
we just need to
take
treat it like another actor that's just like, yeah, they're gonna do what they want. So now like either we don't need to listen to them or like we need to figure out something else because they're just not playing the game fair.
and you're taking the words out of my mouth here. Like I feel like again to my bigger point, like what's the bigger agenda on women's rights and pertaining to like pregnancy? We clearly have seen like, especially in recent rulings, where the Supreme Court lies on here. And like you said, like it's highly politicized. I think we know that the Republican Party actively have went after judicial seats over the past. I don't like Cornell West wrote a book about this a couple years
Yep.
ago. Multiple people have written multiple books about this, and I guess I'm seeing it come to life, and it's irking or irritating seemingly because the party that is to protect the people whatever they're not actively fighting for abortion rights. They're kind of like reacting, and that's
Yeah.
what irritating to me.
And Mackenzie, one thing I wanted to ask you, because this is something that I have kind of been thinking about. I know like when the abortion decision first came out, you were kind of the one saying of like, well, what happens to the people who are now in a place where they can't get access to like a physical abortion? If then for some reason people don't have also access to the abortion pill, wouldn't that also just make it seems like then it just gets like a lot more unsafe, right? Where
Oh
it's
yeah,
like
for sure.
people are still going to try to do what they want to do, but then it's just a matter of like, can you explain that? Because I think people
Yeah.
don't actively like think about that.
Yeah, because it's just like at a point, well, but even before the abortion, so the abortion pill is gone, and you have like a teen girl or
Mhm.
someone who is probably in a low income neighborhood, which and what I do think about in all of these situations is that how are they going to affect Black and brown women? Because that's
Mhm.
always any way you flip it, switch it, or whatever, it's always going to fall harder on women who look like me. So when I think about this stuff, like if there's a person or a young girl who, mom might not be there, no real actual guardian there, or a person who can really walk her through those steps, she might take it into her own hands. And there's plenty of times girls go in the hood and be like, oh, here's this will get rid of the baby. Or even when I think about stuff like when girls go and get those BBL shots before that they were safe or whatever, and they were taking things into their
Yeah.
own hands and just going to somebody that said that they can do it safely, and then that stuff isn't safe. So it's like it's those type of things that we really need to think about. But I mean, we think about it, but it's just not a priority for the people who are making the decisions for real.
Yeah.